Hello gainers, I'm Ralphie and welcome to Fitter Philosophy, a YouTube channel where I walk and talk and discuss how the academic concepts of philosophy can be more practically interpreted and accommodated within our lives to improve our lives so that we get more out of lives by putting more into our lives, and as a result we live more and exist less. Very, very important, because it's too easy in life to kind of just take over and get into our routines, and at the end of our routines are often the ruts of our repetitive behaviour, which we find difficult to challenge or break. And so we need to kind of freshen up a little bit. We need to review the way we think about things, and that's the very subject of this. I was going to say walk and talk, but I'm not actually walking, I'm just sitting because I've got a lovely view in the background. And this carries on from my previous review, which was on the subject of people putting us down and what defences we can have against it, primarily by understanding what it is and the purpose. People put other folk down so that they can be by default raised up a little bit in their own estimations, and it's often the behaviour of the bully. And something that the bullies and the abusers tend to kind of focus on is, first of all, identifying the flaws and shortcomings of their victims and then working on them. Now, this can happen in a personal one-to-one level. It could be just in school, in the workplace, out socialising, complete strangers in bars. Or when it becomes more insidious is when society is bullied by those who have the power in society to do so, and they can be anyone, anywhere. They can be institutions, organisation and governments, and it's frequently the case. But there is something we can do to defend ourselves, and it's really a philosophical, practical thing to do with the word, and I wrote it down so as I would pronounce it correctly, because it's a Japanese word and it's called Kintsugi. Rightio. Very interesting country to visit, Japan. I highly recommend it. There's a lot to observe and to see and to learn from what appears superficially to be a very strange culture. But in fact, the more you spend time with it, the more you connect with it and understand the reasoning of it. But Kintsugi is a Japanese word which means the perfection of identifying the flaws. And I'm going to give you a practical working example of this. Here it is here. This is the bowl that I use for my green tea, because green tea helps you lose weight. It's good for your well-being, and once you get used to the slight bitterness of it, it's actually very refreshing. So I recommend green tea. You can buy it matcha green tea off of eBay, and rather than of course drink it in a coffee mug, which would be just totally boring, I prefer to use a Chinese style traditional bowl, because people drink their tea out of bowls. But you may notice if I hold this closer, rightio, there's a problem with this bowl. I'll show you on the outside. There it is there. It's cracked. That is the kintsugi of this bowl. It is no longer pristine, flawless, perfect, minted, blemish-free. Perfection. No. This is, in fact, technically speaking, a faulty bowl because it's cracked. But let me tell you the reason it's cracked. And that's because when I was boiling the kettle to make my tea, instead of pouring the hot water into the teapot, as I should have, because I was thinking of something else, I poured the boiling water, or just off the boil anyway, into this fine china bowl, and it raised the temperature too high too quickly. It caused internal stresses in the ceramic structure of this, and it formed a fairly neat vertical split down the side of the bowl. But what in fact that has done, it has improved the durability, the strength of the bowl. because anytime I pour the hot tea into it, it's the crack that gives rather than other cracks being created elsewhere in the bowl. And we are like this bowl. Our lives are like this bowl. We start off fresh, clean, flawless, perfect, but over time we pick up the wear and tear, the occasional accidents, the patina in the form of wrinkled skin and grey hair. However, if despite the wear and tear of time and circumstance, if we can understand our basic utility and function of being ourselves, just like the integrity of this bowl to be fit for serving green tea, we are the bowl, the vessel for housing a soul whose purpose in life is simply to develop and learn from the experience of it. That, gainers, is the true purpose of life. To allow our souls, our beings, to actually undergo the journey which is this mortal life, this version of life, and to develop and blossom as a result of it. Some people, through circumstances, more so, others a little bit less so, but everybody and anybody has the opportunity, even when they are prisoners to certain circumstances, because there may be a lot of poverty in the world, but when you examine it more closely, one of the greatest poverties is to have plenty of wealth and simply not be aware of it and not use it. And one of the greatest wealths we can have is knowledge, because it's knowledge and observation of ourselves, but sometimes through the eyes of others, and sometimes through observing a tea bowl and its kintsugi, its flaw, which gives no reason to throw it out. It is the perfection of the blemish. It is now unique to this bowl. It's a part of this bowl. It will never ever be separated from this bowl, whatever happens to it. And we are like that. We can never be separated from ourselves and the scars that we build up over time, but when we learn from them and grow from them, that is when their purpose is revealed. I'm Ralphie. I hope you've enjoyed this walk and talk. I'm going to leave you with a lovely view of the mountains behind me in the distance on an overcast but bright late summer's day. Thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed this, do subscribe, do click like, do click for notifications, and thank you for watching. Do you know what, gainers? I appreciate it. I know you gain from this. So do I. We all do.